We need to build a wall, and it has to be built quickly.
Good morning. It is 9:07 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how are you? My name is Chris Hand. Show's brought to you by our friends at Better Water LLC. You know the reasons. Everybody knows the reasons.
I don't like them putting chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay.
Water filtration systems, betterwater.com. You can find, you can find, sorry, what? I wasn't ready for that one, but I rolled with it. Did you see me roll with it?
It was good.
You can find the show anywhere. We're on all the apps, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, the 99.7 WTN app. We're on the FM dial still, based. That's not going anywhere. But we are growing the digital platforms up to and including YouTube and Rumble. If you can find us over there, if you can hit like, if you can hit subscribe, if you can share the show with your friends, it really does help the radio station. Radio is an evolving medium, and if we can keep growing the digital side of it, it makes the entire radio station more safe. So if you like the content that you get here on Super Talk, it really does help us for you to go over to the YouTube side and hit like and hit subscribe. And maybe you don't want to do that while I'm on the air. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. I won't take it personal. Do it during Dan or do it during Benson or do it during Murphy. And then hit the dislike on mine. But only if you mean it.
Because if it's disingenuous, get out of here.
Yeah, we don't need that. Nobody's trying to make that happen. So we appreciate you guys as always. A lot to get to today. Anthony Fauci, so should he be tarred and feathered and, tried before a jury for the crimes that he's committed? I would say yes. We're going to talk about that. Apparently, some text messages sent by Dr. Fauci confirm he privately said that the second COVID vaccine dose could be associated with miscarriages in the first trimester. So remember when they told you during COVID, if it saved one life, well, how many lives could have been saved if we didn't have the COVID vaccine? Can we get those numbers? I'm interested. If it saved one life, apparently a lot of miscarriages in the first trimester was because people were being told to get boosted. And I think that should make every American irate. Absolutely furious. Of course, it won't make Democrats upset. Later on the show, we'll talk about Massachusetts, Governor Healy. Maura Healy. She signed an executive order that gives you the right to abortion up until birth. So that's fine, right? That's no big deal. You know, I was watching this, right? And people, during the governor's race, people were like, God, gee whiz. Monty Fritz's stance on abortion is extreme. And I was like, oh, weird. Have you seen the Democrats lately? Talk about extreme stances on abortion. You know, like, it's your choice. Would you like the epidural or would you like the abortion? That's what they're doing in Massachusetts now. It's disgusting. These people are evil. There's no way around it. They're vile, and they should be talked about that way. It's just pure evil. We'll get to that. Also, something that I do think is worth celebrating is, we got a roller coaster of emotion today. We're going to be angry. We're going to be sad, but we're also going to be a little happy. Okay. And on the roller coaster of emotion would be RFK and Donald Trump signing that executive order yesterday on splitting up the MMR vaccine as well as reducing the childhood vaccine schedule, which is a massive happening. Like, I do hope you understand this. And there's been a lot of parents that have been fighting for this for a very, very long time. I heard Dan and I heard Joan talking about it earlier. And there sure is an awful lot of anecdotal evidence that the current vaccine schedule in the United States of America was driven by profit margins and not by health. And you can look at the exact moment in 1986 when the vaccine liability for the vaccine makers got thrown out the window as the key point in time when the vaccine schedule started exploding. Not every medicine is going to be good for every person, but as soon as they got rid of that liability, well, it was open season on making money. Weird how that happened. And in other countries, developed nations, mind you, the vaccine schedule is nowhere near like it is in America. But if you talk to the uneducated today in this country, they'll think you're crazy and that you're anti-science. And this is something that I was very excited about. The moment that RFK walked across the stage at that Turning Point USA event in Arizona, shook President Trump's hand, and endorsed him. I thought, this is the Maha movement getting off the ground. We're going to see real change here. And it looks like we're finally starting to see that snowball pick up mass and gain momentum as it rolls down the hill. So we'll talk about that. Also, trending this morning, we got 3 killed as Red Sea and Gulf shipping attacks spike. 3 crew members were killed in a suspected Iran-backed Houthi attack on a small cargo vessel in the Bab el-Mandeb Strait Tuesday, while a Panama flag container ship was hit by a missile off Pakistan, sources said. The fatalities aboard the Egyptian-owned Tihama would be the first deaths in a Houthi strike since the Iran war began on February 28th. Shipping through Bab el-Mandeb is down to 32 ships a day last week versus 50 before, and just 6 transited the Hormuz Strait Monday versus pre-war, which was 130 to 140. President Trump yesterday, while he was signing those executive orders in the Oval Office, he did talk about Iran, obviously, because the guy takes any questions and the press is there, and this is going to be a topic of conversation. And he said, "We have control over the strait." And I just find myself pressing X for doubt because it doesn't seem like we have control. We'll talk about that. We also got news that Russian forces killed 6 people early Tuesday in an attack involving ballistic missiles from North Korea. That's interesting. So we'll keep our eyes on that. Oil ticks up as the Hormuz Strait remains blocked. Brent settled around 87.72 Monday as investors await Iran war updates, with Tehran demanding compensation, U.S. withdrawal, and sanction relief to reopen the strait. Traffic remains effectively shut since late February. President Trump yesterday in the Oval Office also saying that he would like reparations for us from Iran. It just doesn't seem like it's going anywhere. Does anybody else feel like this isn't going anywhere? Yeah, I feel like that too. Trump says the future of the weaponization fund is up to Todd Blanche. President Trump also told reporters yesterday that the future of the proposed $1.776 billion weaponization fund would be up to Attorney General Todd Blanche, who was sworn in yesterday after the Justice Department rescinded the order establishing the fund, which was created as part of a settlement of Trump's $10 billion lawsuit against the government and widely criticized as a slush fund. I like the anti-weaponization fund. Maybe I'm in the minority here, but I do think people were unfairly targeted, like without a doubt. How could you view it any other way? During the Biden administration, dissidents of the regime were targeted. They just were. And you can go down the list, whether it was senators having their phones tapped or parents being labeled domestic terrorists at school board meetings. Yeah, a lot of people were targeted by the Biden DOJ. I would love it. I personally would love it if Blanche was like, oh, yeah, that's off the table. And then he gets confirmed and then it's back on the table. I think that would be hilarious. So I hope he does it. Because especially, at least do it for the memes, do it for the culture, because the left would lose their mind. They absolutely would. I would be here for it. The salt mining would be good. If you're into salt mining, it would be good. We got primaries today in Wisconsin, Minnesota, don't you know, Vermont, Connecticut, and South Carolina. So voters are going to head to the polls today in a packed August slate. We're going to find out what's going on in Wisconsin, Minnesota, Vermont, Connecticut, statewide primaries for governor, Congress, and South Carolina Republicans are holding a special primary to fill the seat after Lindsey Graham's death. Listen, you know, I've been changing my tune on Darlene. I wasn't a huge fan just from the jump. It felt very monarchy-esque to appoint the sister. And I was like, what qualifications does she have? It feels like a DEI hire, didn't earn it. But then during the debate, she was like, why are we going on recess for a month? And I'm in favor of nuking the filibuster, and we should get the Save America Act over the finish line. I was like, all right, maybe it's not going to be that bad. Maybe she's the more based version of Lindsey, less war hawkish, more America focused. I'll happily be wrong. I really will. It's one of my favorite things to do. Just be wrong. Sometimes you're going to be wrong. And I hope I'm wrong about Darlene Graham. I really do. I just didn't want to see a continuation of Lindsey Graham doing Lindsey Graham things via his sister. And again, the absolute revisionist history on who Lindsey Graham was, absurd to me. Just bonkers. Oh, he was one of the best. We all loved Lindsey Graham. Did we? I thought we were all kind of like, why is Trump endorsing him? But rest in peace. Rest in peace, old chap. So let's begin today with where do I begin? I think we go to the Fauci stuff, because I think this is one of the things that conspiracy theorists were talking about on the internet nonstop. They were being silenced by the Biden administration for talking about this nonstop. Many accounts were nuked out of orbit before we had free speech platforms on social media like X, before guys like Elon Musk came in and held individuals like Mark Zuckerberg's feet to the fire, where it was like, you either got to evolve and allow some of this stuff on your platform, or you're going to go the way of the dinosaurs. So everybody talked about this. And I'm sure you saw this conversation as well, that the COVID vaccines were detrimental to babies in the womb. Yet, while all of this was happening, you still had Fauci on TV, and on TV, Dr. Fauci was like, no, this is great, actually. You should totally get the COVID vaccine if you're a pregnant woman. And it was like, should you? I mean, at the time, we all knew that this was an experimental gene therapy that took, 6 months to create? I know it was a little bit longer than 6 months, but just for the sake of the argument, it was created in a matter of months. Operation Warp Speed, which President Trump touted as one of his greatest achievements, which I do believe you can ding him on. But there was also a calculation there that he wanted to reopen the country, and you weren't going to be able to do that until we had a vaccine. So what are you going to do? You're going to wait years and years and years, or are you going to throw the whole weight of the federal government behind it and get this thing out? It's also important to point out that President Trump was never going to mandate this on anyone. And if you need more evidence of that, we'll bring you the press conference yesterday from President Trump and RFK Jr. as they're reducing the number of vaccines. So take that and hold on to it, especially if you're anti-Operation Warp Speed, which I am. There was calculation behind the scenes. But while Fauci was in office, he was telling people that the vaccines are great, especially for pregnant women.
However, when you look at the unvaccinated versus the vaccinated, there is absolutely no increased risk of that. So because of that, the CDC and the ACOG, the American College of Obstetrics and Gynecology, who used to say it is okay for for pregnant women to get vaccinated, to change now and say it is recommended.
Pregnant
women get vaccinated. So it's really one of those things that's kind of not a close call. It really is pretty clear that pregnant women should get vaccinated.
Not a close call, folks. It's the science is settled. He was the science. Except now we're learning via new text messages that Fauci knew that the second COVID vaccine dose could be associated with miscarriages in the first trimester. That is what evil looks like. Need I remind you, this is the same guy who said it was safe and effective when he got vaccine injured. This is the same guy who said, you're not going to get COVID. You're not going to spread COVID, when he knew that that was a lie. He journaled about it. A grown man writing in his little diary. This is disgusting. He should be brought up on criminal charges, and everybody knows it. And every day that he walks free in this country is a day of justice not prevailing. So that needs to change. We'll bring you the news on the text messages on the way. Florida Attorney General James Youthmeyer, he's going scorched earth, and he should. Where's Skirmetti? Anybody know? Mr. Skirmetti, you want to get in on this? We'd like to see you get in on it, sir. I'll bring you these revelations when we get back. It's 9:21. This is Super Talk, 99.7 WTN. Hey, what's up? It's Chris Hand here for my friends at United Structural Systems, USS. If you got water getting into your crawl space or into your basement, if you're noticing cracks in your walls, uneven floors, a driveway that's starting to sink, none of these are just home issues. They are all peace of mind issues. And who you trust to fix it absolutely matters. So I will recommend United Structural Systems because they've been doing this job since 1994. You don't stay in business that long by accident. You do it by never bringing scare tactics to the table, never pushing quick fixes. You do it by bringing real inspections, honest answers, and solutions that are built to last. Whether it's foundation repair, crawl space, waterproofing issues, or concrete leveling for your driveway or patio, USS is going to use engineered systems designed for long-term performance, not temporary patches. And what's going to stand out to you is, well, if you don't need the work, that's what they tell you. And if you do need the work, they'll explain exactly why before the job even gets started. Right now, they're offering tons of financing options, so that way you can fix it today and get that peace of mind and pay for it later. Don't wait, because waiting actually means more expensive. That's a little spoiler alert for you if you think kicking the can down the road is a good idea. Call my friends at USS today, 615-488-7855, 615-488-7855, and find them online, USSTN.com. Pete Hegseth speaking earlier. They've gathered all of the top generals in the entire world, brought them to Quantico and said, stop being fat and gay. Maybe I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but that's generally the message that we're getting.
No more identity months, DEI offices, dudes in dresses. No more climate change worship. No more division, distraction, or gender delusions. No more debris. We are done with that shit. Standards must be uniform, gender neutral, and hot. Frankly, it's tiring to look out at combat formations, or really any formation, and see fat troops. Likewise, it's completely unacceptable to see fat generals and admirals in the halls of the Pentagon. But if the words I'm speaking today are making your heart sink, then you should do the honorable thing and resign.
Stop being so fat and so gay. Let's focus on the mission. If you can do the job, you're welcomed here. No matter your sexual orientation or your skin color. But we're getting back to merit.
Up ahead, New York's communist mayor suffers a setback at the hands of a Democrat judge. It's coming up at 9:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Whoa, Joan.
I know, right?
Put some respect on that man's name. New York's best communist mayor ever.
Oh, yeah. I guess I could have said that.
He's the best communist, Ugandan, socialist, Muslim mayor that they've ever had.
Or the only one.
Well, yeah.
There's that.
I think that we need to give these people their flowers. Like Kamala Harris, best female vice president ever.
Best female, half black, half Indian vice president ever.
I didn't know she was black. You're telling me for the first time.
Isn't that what it is?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
It's just, do you remember that from what was it in Chicago when Trump was on stage?
Oh, that's right.
It was a callback, Joan.
Yeah. I missed it.
I didn't know she was black.
Yeah.
I didn't know. That was hilarious, by the way. That was one of the funniest things I've ever seen, especially when there was a lot of like Ken was back there. He's like, I can't believe he said that. And I was like, dude, that was hilarious.
He's had a lot of really good moments.
Then the conversation was that way online for a while. Like everybody was saying that.
Yeah.
So I thought it was hilarious. All right. We were talking about Fauci. I think it's important to not just let Fauci off the hook. This was Dr. Rochelle Walensky talking about COVID shots for the pregnant ladies.
Is it safe to get vaccinated while you're breastfeeding?
It absolutely is safe to get vaccinated. So I would say if you are thinking about getting vaccinated, there is no bad time to get vaccinated. Get vaccinated while you're thinking about having a baby, before you're thinking about having a baby, while you're pregnant with your baby, or after you've delivered your baby. There is no bad time.
You know, it's weird to me because I knew a lot of people that were pregnant when the vaccine was coming out. Actually, fun fact, my wife was pregnant. And I don't think she regrets not getting it. I don't think anybody regrets not getting it. And the more we learn about Fauci and what he knew, the more evil the man becomes. So what was in the text messages? We'll tell you when we get back. It's 9:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. That 7-year-old girl who's recovering from a bullet wound to the leg after somebody fired shots into her East Nashville home. Channel 4's Steve Mailing reports on her today.
that I spoke with told me this isn't the first time that her family's had to duck for cover after bullets were fired towards their home. They actually live in a duplex in East Nashville, and their mother tells me that this is the second time this year that her neighbor has been targeted as a result of a drive-by shooting. This is the first time, however, her family has been hurt as a result.
That woman says the investigators found 40 bullets in her home. The girl's recovering, but her mother says she is still in pain. Republicans on the Tennessee legislature working with the state attorney general now to tamp down rising property taxes. Speaker Cameron Sexton telling Matt Murphy they have some legislation in mind.
One of the things that we talked about that we could get through on the House side, we're hoping to get some movement on the Senate side next year, is the property tax cap bill. That would also limit unrealized gains on your property as well.
It would also base property taxes on the price at purchase and whatever investments have been made, but not on what somebody else may have paid for their property. And in New York City, the new tax that was supposed to only hit people who own second homes in the Big Apple is on life support. A Democrat judge ruled that Mayor Mamdani botched the rollout of that tax. Here's Alexis McAdams at Fox News.
3 New York City homeowners sued, challenging the city's rollout of this tax, saying that their primary homes were on this list. And the judge, who, as I mentioned, is a Democrat, ruled in their favor and told the city to remove the list of the addresses and names that were posted online, telling the city it should have done the work to find what homeowners actually qualified, not just putting everyone on the list and saying, prove you don't owe the money.
Mamdani has filed an appeal of that decision. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Hey, what's up? It's Chris Hand here for my friends at Better Water LLC. And I'm telling you, these guys are the absolute best. We got a water filtration at my home. You need one at yours as well. Maybe you got some reasons. You got some weird smells. Maybe it's staining your clothes when you're washing your clothes. Or you just got plain old bad tasting water. Whatever it is, these are the people that you need to call. Think of it like installing a giant Brita filter for your entire house. Or you can scale one down that's really reasonable and it fits right underneath your sink. And they handle removing everything from sulfur to iron to chlorine to bacteria, even E. coli. You could have some nasty stuff in your water. Here's the best part. Better Water will test your water for free. And if you don't have the nasty stuff in there, they're going to be like, you're good to go. And if you do have the nasty stuff in there and you don't want to make your coffee with it in the morning, you don't want to bathe your kids and your grandkids in that water, you don't want to bathe in it, well, Better Water offers a range of options. From reverse osmosis to specialized filters, UV lights, trust me, Better Water can clean it up. Local company based out of Smyrna, and they're already treating the water at the local coffee shops and hospitals around town. These guys are total pros. Stop drinking the junk out of your tap. Give Better Water a call today. Say, Chris Hand told me that you would test my water for free. They'll say absolutely right away. 615-355-6063, 615-355-6063, or find them online, betterwater.com.
approximately 20,000 pregnant women have been vaccinated with no red flags, as we say. And this is being monitored by the CDC and the FDA.
Oh, well, that's perfect. The CDC, the FDA, what could go wrong, right? There's no red flags, guys. Oh, they're totally healthy, I swear. I swear, everyone's doing great. This is perfect. That was Anthony Fauci. You know, what he was saying publicly was very different from what he was saying privately. I mean, we've learned this a couple times, the grown man writing in a diary, and now text messages as well. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. The show's brought to you by Better Water LLC. You can find us on all the apps, the FM dial. It really does help the radio station out if you could hit the subscribe button on YouTube. It'll help us get bigger interviews. It'll really, it helps across the board. So please do that for us if you like the content on this radio station. We can do more. We can get better. We can get bigger if you find us on YouTube. So Anthony Fauci, what was it that he said? He said no red flags, right?
Approximately 20,000 pregnant women have been vaccinated with no red flags, as we say. And this is being monitored by the CDC and the FDA.
Wow, so what could go wrong, right? Nothing bad, right? Nothing bad could happen, right? Right? Well, actually, the second coronavirus jab could be theoretically associated with a miscarriage in the first trimester. That's what Anthony Fauci admitted in his text on a government-issued cell phone. And this has been released by Ron Johnson and Rand Paul. Kudos to those guys. Absolute beasts. They're not letting this die. They're going to keep going. But this information, shocker, wasn't publicly thrown out there. Nobody talked about. In fact, if you talked about that on social media, you were labeled a right-wing extremist, anti-science, anti-vaxxer. You're going to kill grandma. Just all over the place. You were ripped off the internet. But behind the scenes and behind closed doors and away from the prying eyes of the public, Anthony Fauci was saying what we were all being banned off of social media for discussing. Got it. According to the senators, the government-issued phone contains over 34,000 text messages, 522 voicemails, and they're currently unable to tell if data has been deleted from the device. They'll be able to figure it out eventually, just so you know. All of that stuff can be recovered, I would imagine. Most of the numbers on the phone do not have formal contact names. In fact, only 3 exist on the phone. So he absolutely deleted some things. What he deleted and the extent of it, we're going to find out, I would imagine. Breitbart continues, while the lawmakers and their staff are combing through the trove of messages on the phone, they released a text chain on Monday, giving Americans a snippet of what's to come. And if I was Anthony Fauci, I don't know, I would probably flee the country. Just being honest. If I was that evil of a human being, if I was lying to the public that much, I would probably fear for my safety. In fact, I think one of the safest things that could be done to Anthony Fauci would be thrown inside a jail cell and given 3 hots and a cot for the rest of his life. Probably. I don't, and that's not like I don't think anybody should take matters into their own hands, but the anger that is going to be righteously directed towards Anthony Fauci, I wouldn't want that pointed at me. Jeez.
Carriage and the first trimester. What do you make of what we're learning here?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me on and thanks for covering this. So we obviously have his phone. We've downloaded it. And we're going to carefully go through this to protect people's personal information. But I thought we had to release this right away because this is, I think, major news.
It is major news. You're hearing the voice of Senator Ron Johnson out of Wisconsin talking about the text messages that they have released from Anthony Fauci on the fact that he knew there were some red flags when it came to pregnant women getting the COVID vaccine and miscarriages being theoretically associated with it in the first trimester.
Anthony Fauci, in a text exchange with Vivek Murthy and Rochelle Walensky, the CDC director. They're talking about the COVID injection and having pregnant women take it.
Now, again, he said that the text exchange is between Fauci and the CDC director, Rochelle Walensky. And I played that clip earlier. Rochelle Walensky was on national TV telling everyone, if you're pregnant, there's no bad time to get it. If you're thinking about getting pregnant, if you are pregnant, if you just had the baby, get the vaccine, get the boosters. Totally safe to do. Totally cool. Super chill. No COVID. But in this text message thread, they were actually talking about miscarriages. Are you serious? Now, again, I will bring it back up. My wife was pregnant during this time. And do you know how many doctors tried to make her take the COVID jab? Well, all of them. All of them. And fun fact, the people that were pushing it on pregnant women, saying it was perfectly safe, well, they were like, might be some miscarriages. NBD. Crying, laughing emoji. I'm throwing that stuff in. I don't know if that was actually in there. I just imagine that they just don't give a crap to that level.
And in the middle of that text exchange, I think the key text is where Anthony Fauci is talking about the fact that the second dose creates a greater cytokine storm, additional information that could have an impact on increased miscarriages in the first trimester. Now, to add to that, in June of 2021, Tom Shimabukuro, a bunch of other people published a grossly misleading study in the New England Journal of Medicine where they were looking at 827 confirmed pregnancies. There were 104 miscarriages. They call them spontaneous abortions, but we refer to those as miscarriages. 104 divided by 827 would imply about a 12.6% miscarriage rate, which is quite high for confirmed pregnancies. I talked to Dr. James Thorpe, who says generally around 3%, so it's already 4 times as high, but within the realm of confirmed and unconfirmed pregnancies, okay? So they put this study out there, but what they don't reveal, they do, but they don't account for it, is that 700 of those 827 women took the injection in their third trimester. Now, spontaneous abortions occur before 20 weeks. Third trimester starts after 28, so the relevant denominator would have been 127. So you would have had 124 miscarriages out of 127 of the women who got the injection in the first or second trimesters. That's an 82%. 82% miscarriage rate. That is shocking news. Okay, and that's been known for quite some time, but again, the federal health agencies weren't highlighting that. No,
they weren't, were they? They were just pushing this on the unwitting public who were absolutely propagandized via fear to do what it needed to be done to protect their baby. I think these women have a lawsuit on their hands. I think criminal charges need to be brought up, and this is insane. So they publish the study, and they lean on the study. They say out of 800 cases, it's only 12%, which I would say that's enough right there to stop it, right? Like, wouldn't you think that that's enough to stop it? Yeah, I would. And then from there, you learn that it wasn't just that there was enough to stop it. They fudged the numbers. It was really 124 out of 127. And these monsters are text messaging about it, acknowledging what's happening behind the scenes. And on TV, they're guilting us into going out there and getting it. How dare they? This is pure evil. There is a special place in hell for Anthony Fauci and Rochelle Walensky and all of these other psychopaths that didn't feel the need to tell the public about this. I hope the money here on earth is worth it. I really, truly hope that your remaining days here with all of the money that you made from these vaccines is worth what's waiting for you in the next phase of your being. Because I don't think that's worth it. And I don't think there's any coming back from that. Babies died. Babies died. So this is fine. It's fine, right? It's fine. Florida Attorney General James Youthmeyer was informed of the shocking text messages where Fauci said that he knew of the COVID jabs being linked to miscarriages. And he was on Fox News talking about it.
Continuing to be a bulldog in the search for truth and accountability. This is just one back and forth text message thread from the thousands and thousands that we're going to be going through here. But again, a lot of people were injured and suffered, and it wasn't from an accident. It appears to be deliberate, dishonest messaging where Dr. Fauci, he was worried about one thing but pushed another on the American people.
I mean, the American people are hearing this now, and they're seeing these texts, and they're wondering how much more of this misguidance, if it is, could be out there as Congress continues to dig through these texts.
It's going to be a lot. I mean, let's be honest with each other. There's going to be a lot more that comes out. And I would wager that maybe this isn't even the worst of it. It's pretty bad. It would be hard to top. But there's going to be more. Now, one of the things that drives me up a wall is when you'll be talking to somebody who was very pro-vaccine at the time, and they'll say, why didn't anybody tell us? And it's like, were you not paying attention? Or did you think you were paying attention? Because all of this stuff was discussed ad nauseum on the internet. And sure, you had to look a little bit. And sometimes the people that were pushing the truth out, their accounts would get nuked and you'd have to go find their new account. Remember everybody popping up with backup accounts over and over and over again? Remember that? Remember that phase? You'd be on the Gram or you'd be on X and you'd look at their profile and it would say backup account. That's how quickly the truth tellers were being nuked off of social media. Now, you could react to the people that say, why didn't anybody tell us, in one of two ways. Utter disbelief and frustration, or the more reasonable approach, nothing but compassion. And I think that the compassion route is the move. This is going to be a topic of conversation in the coming weeks and months. And treating the people who were duped as idiots is not going to get us any closer to an end result that we want to be at. We need to be measured and compassionate. The entire weight of the federal government was used to push mass propaganda and fear and hysteria on the public. A lot of people got caught up in it. We all know people that got caught up in it. Good people. Honest people. It's not their fault. It's not. The people who are responsible for this have yet to be held accountable. People like Rochelle Walensky, people like Anthony Fauci, people like Deborah Birx, people that were up and down the Biden administration, they all need to be held accountable. And I pray that they will. I do. But this is a massive story. Second COVID dose could theoretically be associated with miscarriages in the first trimester. How many? Will we ever know the full extent? Billions were vaccinated. So I don't think it's a stretch to say millions were miscarried. Do you? 615-737-9986. We'll bring some listeners into this. We'll have some calls. I got Scott and Carrie on the line. They want to jump in the conversation. You're more than welcome to. You're welcome to as well. 615-737-9986. This stuff is infuriating. But a lot of good came from it too. And we'll talk about that as well. It's 9:52. This is Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, what's up? It's Chris Hand here from my friends at Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. The kids, they're back to school. You have a little bit more time on your hands to get some things knocked off the to-do list, and you should take advantage of the deals going on, the back-to-school savings with my friends at Busy Bee. They got some of the biggest back-to-school offers of the season going on right now. You schedule HVAC maintenance or complete any HVAC repair, you'll get a free dryer vent cleaning. That's an added safety and one less thing to do on your to-do list. If you're thinking about a new system, purchase a high-efficiency HVAC unit, and you'll be entered to win Busy Bee's Healthy Hive giveaway. That's a $1,500 sponsorship for the school of your choice. Imagine the non-sharp scissors that you could provide to your first grade class with $1,500. On top of that, qualified teachers, faculty, and staff members can receive a free Beehive membership when you purchase or renew one. You get to gift one to them. If you need major plumbing work, there's deals there too. Get a $500 gift card with qualifying whole home repipes or mainline replacements. And as always, with approved credit, enjoy 0% financing for 18 months. It's Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling, 615-775-7833, 615-775-7833, busybeehvac.com.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy with Super Talk 99.7 WTN, and this morning we are out and about at my house, my brand new house that I've been talking about on the radio, with Nate from USS. What's up, brother? How are you?
I'm excellent. How about you?
I'm doing well.
Good.
We invited Nate out. Now, obviously, when you're a new homeowner, especially when you buy a house that's got a few years on it, you don't know what you're dealing with in terms of foundation. And I know that Nate knows a lot more about what I don't see and what I don't know about than I do. So bring the experts out and get them to check out your house. Hey guys, Matt Murphy again with Nate with USS, and Nate has just wrapped up kind of a look at the house. And Nate, what'd you find?
Well, your house is in pretty good shape for the age of it. I had to look pretty hard to find.
Okay.
Your house being on a slope like it is here, I think we could do a lot of good by trying to terminate your downspouts a little
Okay.
further from the house there.
Okay.
Roof water is the killer of foundations, and so if we can just get it to a positive grade to drain away from your house, I think that's real cheap insurance.
You want to kind of get it out and downhill.
That's right. Yeah.
That's
So
the idea.
make sure that it doesn't come right back down towards the foundation walls and causing issues, settlement or leakage.
Now, if folks are watching this video and they are like, we need to get Nate out to the house to do a look. I mean, it took, I watched you do it. It's, 30, 45 minutes, something like that.
Yeah.
To do a comprehensive kind of an examination around the house. And they just give you a call and schedule?
Yeah, absolutely. You can call our main phone number, or you can call you or reach USSTN.com and
Sure.
schedule right through the website there. Our girls in the call center will get back to you just about immediately, as long as it's during business hours. So
This just makes a lot of sense, folks, for you guys to do an examination of your house like we've done, to check it out. I'm going to get those gutters done with Nate and his team at USS, and then we'll do a video and let you know how those look at the end of all of this. So thank you, guys.
hey, that'd be great.
We appreciate you, brother.
Matt,
All
we
right.
appreciate you.
Up ahead, we'll tell you what one Nashville mom brought to her son in lockup that led to her being locked up, too. It's coming up at 10 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Unrelated story.
Yeah.
But I saw a guy try to sneak a handgun into a jail.
Whoa.
Guess where he hid it?
In his pants?
I guess you could say that.
No. Hope it was a small gun.
No.
Ugh.
No, it was not. And this is the craziest part. There was one in the chamber.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I know. You know who sent that to me this morning?
Who?
Sam.
He's
Sam
so
did.
good to you.
Sam did.
Yeah.
That's what I open up my Instagram, and this is what I get from Sam. I might send it to the meme chat. Find me on Instagram. I'll put you in the meme chat at Chris Hand on Air. Sometimes you need some things to laugh about because everything else makes you infuriated or want to cry. We've been talking about Anthony Fauci. I think that you could put this story about the miscarriages in both of those categories. Real quick, Carrie in Nashville, welcome to the program. How are you?
Hey, Chris. Good. How are you guys?
Good. What do you got?
So I just wanted to kind of, I guess, in line with the Fauci and all that. Dr. John Campbell has come out saying that they are now putting the same mRNA technology in the flu shot for this year. And so, I mean, I know some people, like you said, they had to be coerced or whatnot so they didn't lose their job. And I think it was kind of a tragedy of the people that suffered and lost their lives from the COVID vaccine. But I think the way they market these things, now that they're putting all this mRNA and everything, whatever your stance is on vaccines, you kind of have to look at the fact that now there's more vaccines, there's more technology, and we're sicker. Our kids are sicker. There's more cancers.
Yep.
There's all kinds of spectrum disorders. And I will say the CDC has done an excellent job brainwashing people, thinking that if they don't get vaccines, they're going to die.
Yeah.
And
no, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, God did not make our bodies deficient in vaccines. And I just wish people would, instead of just, oh my gosh, I'm following the science. Well, the science has been disproven, I think, several times by other people's money and opinion. So I wish people would just kind of do their research, because these things, in particular this flu shot, supposedly, now I'm not in on all the shedding stuff, but it's supposed to be shedding for a month.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of this stuff too, Carrie, and you bring up a great point, and I appreciate the call. I will say, though, it's not every flu shot. As of August 5th, 2026, the FDA approved the first mRNA-based flu vaccine. It's Moderna's Mflusiva, also called Mflusiva or mRNA 1010. It's authorized only for adults aged 50 and older. Full approval for 50 to 64, accelerated approval for 65 plus, pending confirmatory date. Moderna expects its version to be available for the 2026-2027 flu season. It's for older individuals. That's not for every flu vaccine. Do your own risk reward analysis. I'm not getting the flu vaccine. I'm not a fan of needles. I'm not doing the nasal spray either, but it just so you know, definitely do your research. It's not in every flu vaccine, but you should absolutely be alert and be aware of everything that you're putting into your body. 10:02 Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories, and voters are heading to the polls in Wisconsin, Minnesota, Vermont, Connecticut, and Alabama. NBC's Ryan Nobles says there's also a special GOP primary for the Senate in South Carolina.
In battleground South Carolina, where the late Senator Lindsey Graham's legacy looms large, his sister Darlene, with President Trump's endorsement, is hoping to pick up where her brother left off.
I think President Trump is going to get us through this, and the price of gas will eventually come down.
Trump touting her campaign in a tele-rally Monday night.
She's the perfect person to carry on Lindsey's legacy.
But voters here nervous about her lack of experience. If a candidate does not clear the 50% threshold tonight, the top 2 candidates will head to a runoff later this month.
And in Wisconsin, DSA candidate Francesca Hong has now lost her lead in polling in her push to become governor. A federal judge dismissing most of Minnesota's challenge to President Trump's interpretation of Title IX. Minnesota was the only state that had challenged President Trump's executive order that declared there are only 2 sexes, male and female, and restricted transgender athletes from competing in women's sports. The judge in this case pointing to, among other things, the Supreme Court's ruling in June that upholds state bans on trans athletes. The Trump administration has threatened to withhold federal funding if Minnesota doesn't comply. A Nashville mother arrested accused of sneaking Percocet and ecstasy pills to her 17-year-old son who's incarcerated at a juvenile detention center. Here's News 2's Megan Fee.
Metro Police say this happened Saturday at the Juvenile Detention Center on Woodland Street in Nashville. The warrant shows the mother passed the drugs to her son as they played with a child during the visit. Pills were found in the teen's sock during a search. That mother, 44-year-old Benita Fitzgerald, now faces a felony charge.
Fitzgerald's bond was set at $4,000. And in Clay County, a former pharmacy owner has been ordered to pay $450,000. Thomas Weir was one of 4 people charged in a prescription drug conspiracy. Prosecutors said that Weir and the others distributed drugs to patients despite evidence that they were either abusing the drugs or didn't have legitimate medical purposes for them. Weir will have to pay back a total of $1.4 million to Medicare and TennCare. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
It's 10:08 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how are you? I'm Chris Hand. The show's brought to you by Better Water LLC. Water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. You can listen on the apps. You can listen on the FM dial. Find us on YouTube. Hit like, hit subscribe. When we do topics like this, or we have the word Fauci in the title, we don't get suggested anywhere. We don't get any new viewers. People don't like uncomfortable truths on some social media platforms. So we do ask you guys to help us out so that way these messages can get out far and wide, and we can share them pretty much everywhere, because we can't do that without you. So please find us over there, hit like, hit subscribe. I appreciate you. A lot of people on the text line saying that this was the COVID vaccine was a way to shrink the population. It was population control the whole time. We were getting rid of the elderly. We were getting rid of this. We were getting rid of that. I don't know. Maybe. I think it's more likely that they looked the other way to make bukus of money. Maybe you're right. I would hope that that's not the case. Maybe you're right. Maybe you're right. I don't know. I wasn't involved in those high-level meetings. If I would, I would have just been like, what the? What? What? You guys are going to do what? They probably would have asked me to leave. Politely. I would imagine it would have been politely. But never forget how they treated us when we had questions. We were demonized. We were treated as less than. We were told that we were the ones that were keeping the pandemic going. Yet every time we get a little bit further down the road, us unvaccinated folks, we look like we had it all together from the jump. Let's go to Shane in Macomb County. What's up, Shane? How are you?
Doing good. Yourself?
Good, sir. What do you got?
Well, and if you think back to when Trump announced warp speed, and you can't blame the guy who was just trying to get the country going.
Mm-hmm.
But every Democrat said, "Oh, I'm not going to trust a shot that's got Trump's name on it, like he was in the basement of the White House mixing it up himself."
Yeah, like there was a meth lab underneath the Oval Office.
Yeah. But the second Biden's in there, they turn into the Gestapo and mandate it, and they're saying, nothing wrong here, nothing wrong. They're just, people just kill me.
Well, and it's insane too, because and I remember like it was yesterday, because I remember talking to my wife, and we had been, I don't know, what's the term, vaccine hesitant for quite a while before that. We got radicalized when we had young kids, and we'll get to the announcement from Fauci and Trump down the road. And I appreciate the call, Shane. We had young kids, and I'm going down rabbit holes because they're pushing things on babies like the Hep B vaccine, and I'm like, oh well, says here you only need the Hep B vaccine if you're having unprotected sex or you're using needle drugs. And I thought to myself, weird. My baby's not going to be doing any of those things, so I don't think that we need this vaccine. So that was kind of like the red pilling of me on vaccines going back to 2012, like right before Kennedy was born. It's 2013, before Kennedy was born. And I remember I was researching this stuff incessantly. That's when I first really found RFK and the Children's Health Defense and stuff of that nature, right? Because I was a dad. It changed my whole outlook on everything. And when Trump announced Operation Warp Speed, at that point I had been down enough rabbit holes, right? And I was like, there's no way I'm getting this thing. And you guys know me. I'm as Trumpy Trump as anybody can be Trumpy Trump. I mean, like, I literally, I left my family numerous weekends to go campaign for this guy in 2024. Like, we were flying all over the country, going to different places because, like, that's my guy. But I looked at it and I said, this technology's never been used before. The way they're rushing it out seems haphazard at best. And there's absolutely no way I'm going to take it. Because I did my own risk-reward analysis. And everybody should do their own risk-reward analysis. I understood the thinking of the president at the time. He wanted the country open by Easter. You remember it. I remember it. It wasn't going to get open by Easter. And then when these tyrants were running around, he did, I would imagine, his own risk-reward analysis. What's the risk of keeping the country shut if this goes through the normal years-long process? What's the reward if we speed it up as quick as humanly possible? And I do believe had Trump won, well, he did win, but had Trump became president again for his second term in 2020, that these mandates would have never happened. You would have never had to choose between putting food on the table for you and your family or not getting a vaccine. There's no way in hell that would have happened. But you're right, Shane. As soon as Biden got into office, all of the Democrats, pretty much all of them, I will say this, the crunchy granola mom from the Pacific Northwest with armpit hair who was already vaccine hesitant, nothing was changing her mind. But for a lot of the liberals, as soon as Trump was pushing the vaccine, they were like, no way, no. Not trusting the orange man, mixing up the medicine. And as soon as Biden was in office, you're right, it's like a switch flipped. And you had prominent politicians, like Kamala Harris was out there being like, I'm not taking some forced Trump vaccine. And then she's on TV getting vaccinated. It's crazy, absolutely crazy. But this is what we all saw with our own eyes. Let's go to Sean on the road. Sean, what's up, man? How are you?
Hey, Chris, how's it going?
Good. What do you got?
Maybe crazy conspiracy theory, but what if the vaccine works perfectly? It just wasn't for anything that hadn't been released yet. It's a great way to get rid of a large portion of the population that's not going to vote your way.
So, well, okay. So my thought process then would be, who are they trying to get rid of? Because if it's the global elites that were against Trump, all of their minions got it.
True.
You know what I'm saying? So like I get where you're coming from, and I understand why people go down these holes, but it's like it's really easy to punch holes in that.
Yeah, I mean, they're still going to wipe out 80% of the population that you know is not going to vote the way you want them to. So what if you lose some minions?
Maybe. I mean, useless idiots always get it first, and they view us as useless eaters. Like nothing would surprise me. Like if that came out and it was proven to be 100% true, I'm not going to say I would be shocked, but I'm never going to. I'm not going to make the logic leap until we have that information. I feel like that's fair. Maybe I'm being naive, but that's kind of where I'm at. So 615-737-9986 if you want to join the conversation. While all of this was going on and everybody was discussing it online, don't forget how the media treated you publicly.
Fox News, Rupert Murdoch's company, night after night peddles these incredibly dangerous, poisonous lies about the literally life-saving coronavirus vaccine.
We all know already, right, that if you get vaccinated, that vaccine will basically prevent you from getting sick with COVID. It will prevent you from having to go to the hospital with COVID symptoms. It will prevent you from dying from COVID.
Define
Great, good
basically.
for you.
Our data from the CDC today suggests, that vaccinated people do not carry the virus, don't get sick, and that it's not just in the clinical trials, but it's also in real-world data.
Instead of the virus being able to hop from person to person to person to person, spreading and spreading, sickening some of them, but not all of them, and the ones that it doesn't sicken don't know they have it, and then they give it to even more people because they didn't recognize they were.
If you're vaccinated, you don't have a risk. And that's the reason why we say it's as simple as black and white. You're vaccinated, you're safe. You're unvaccinated, you're at risk. Simple as that.
Right? Instead of the virus being able to hop from person to person to person, potentially mutating and becoming more virulent and drug resistant along the way.
Viruses don't mutate if they don't replicate. So if you stop the transmission and the replication, you're not going to get any more mutations.
Now we know that the vaccines work well enough that the virus stops with every vaccinated person.
If you're vaccinated, you really don't need to worry about getting it in a way that's serious or transmitting.
Why didn't anybody tell me? Why didn't anybody tell me
That is true.
Huh.
That is correct.
I wish I knew.
Allegedly.
A vaccinated person gets exposed to the virus. The virus does not infect them. The virus cannot then use that person to go anywhere else.
What?
It cannot use a vaccinated person as a host to go get more people.
The risk is extremely low of getting infected, of getting sick, or of transmitting it to anybody else. Full stop.
Fox News, Rupert Murdoch's company, night after night peddles these incredibly dangerous, poisonous lies about the literally life-saving coronavirus vaccine.
Now we know that the vaccines work well enough that the virus stops with every vaccinated person.
Well,
you sure about that?
Apparently, according to text messages, it definitely stops babies in the first trimester. They won't be able to get COVID. So there's that. These people are sick. They demonized you. They lied to you. They gaslit you. They kept you locked in your house. We can never forget what they did to us. And Anthony Fauci belongs in prison. Let's go to Brian on the road. What's up, Brian?
God, man, you're preaching my tune, bro. Hey, but if they don't replicate, they don't mutate, or vice versa. You know what I'm saying? He sounded like a rapper when he said he's such an idiot. Hey, let's discuss the take of Christian response.
Yes.
All the churches that closed, and even mine in your church. That Alan always says at the end of his show. You know, I watch him on TV a lot. He always says all that data wasn't accurate or something, and I think, I'm thinking, where's your faith, bro? Where was your faith? Why'd you close the churches?
I mean, listen. In the beginning, I do think that there's an appropriate spot for grace when nobody was sure exactly what was going on, and the videos were coming out of China as they were gassing their entire streets, and people were dropping dead on the subway.
China.
And they thought, thank you, and they thought that the death rate was going to be what? They originally said 3%. I mean, I get the abundance of caution. But it's we quickly figured out that it was overblown and that we needed to get back to reality. That's kind of the line in the sand.
Yeah, you're the first word. One of the first words you just said was grace. You feel like there's some grace that should be involved. No, 100%. I'm not trying to throw stones after the fact, but I didn't get vaccinated. I had it. My wife wanted to test me 100 times. I said no. She finally tested me and said, "Well, you have it." And I'm like, I don't feel like I do, and I'm not sure I trust that, and I don't even like you sticking something up my nose.
Yeah,
my nose. How about that? I just this whole thing. If this guy doesn't, I saw Carl Higbee yesterday on Newsmax go off. He had an go off moment on putting him in jail and doing something bad to him. He's anti-Fauci, which we all are now. Well, not all. Some people are still stupid, but that guy needs to pay the price. I don't think the death. When you say that word, I don't think of the death as much, and that's awful on my part, maybe. But I think about all the people that lost their jobs and lost their businesses. I mean, unbelievable what happened with people. I remember going, and probably you do too, in your audience, going to restaurants and just hoping and praying. You could go in and have a good meal and it would be safe and all that stuff, I guess.
Yeah.
Maybe that was caution on my part.
Dude, it was insane. I remember, and I appreciate the call, Brian, as always. I remember going into a Starbucks one day, and I didn't have a mask on. I don't know if you knew this. You were supposed to wear your mask everywhere. So I walked up to the counter, and I said, take whatever drink my wife wanted at the time. And because the drive-thru line was insane. I was like, I'm just going to go in. It's fine. And they said, whoa, sir, you need a mask. And I was like, no. I just want a coffee. They said, no. You can't be in here without a mask. I was like, well, what about that guy? I pointed at some dude sitting at the table who doesn't have a mask on. She said, sir, he's actively drinking. And I said, ma'am, if you're very worried about COVID, the best course for you to take would be to just take my order and then get me out of here as quickly as possible, because I'm going to stand here and argue with you. She said, fine, I'll take your order. So I ordered the drink. I ordered a breakfast sandwich. She goes, now you need to wait outside. And I was like, oh my gosh, with this BS. So I was like, whatever, I'll wait outside. So I waited outside. Okay. Then this is how petty I am. I don't know if you know this about me. I'm very, very petty. So I ordered the drink and I ordered the breakfast sandwich. The drink gets placed on the counter. So I walked my butt right back in that Starbucks. I picked up the drink and I sat down. She goes, sir, you need to wait outside. I said, oh, no, it's fine. I'm actively drinking. So Thank you for your
That's
attention.
great.
Thank you for your attention to the matter. Andrew in Mount Juliet, you're up next on Super Talk. What's up, Andrew?
Hey, Chris. Yeah, I've got a firsthand experience with this. So my daughter has 3 kids. She has one, no issues. They move here to Nashville. A month before they start trying to have a baby, she's advised that she needs to get the booster jab. So she gets the jab. Long story short, she gets pregnant about a month, 2 months later. Then she's bedridden, goes to about 26 weeks. Fortunately, she makes it through the delivery. She has an abruption. They get the baby out, does fine. So fortunately, baby's doing well.
Praise God.
Side effects, we're having to do medicines and stuff. And, she was, I guess, about 16 weeks early, doing math right, 14, 15.
Jeez.
Miracle that she made it. Was weighed in grams when she delivered. So Fauci needs to pay, after seeing these studies where they're saying 80% of people that got the jabs in the first trimester, I think they said the statistics were even comparable to taking the abortion pill.
Yeah. So, all right. So the study.
What this jab did. So I've got firsthand knowledge. This guy, he needs to face the music.
100%. And the statistics, even the study that they leaned on was totally flubbed. It was like, 700 people. I'll play the clip here in a second again because it was Ron Johnson talking about it. 700 women, not 700 people. It was women. I don't know if you know this. Only women can get pregnant. 700 women who were pregnant. And they said, it was just a 12% miscarriage rate. And it's like, okay, on its face, I feel like that's enough reason to stop right there. Right? Like just stopping recommending it. But then when you dig into the numbers, it was about miscarriages in the first trimester. Well, okay, 600 something of those women were in their third trimester when they got it. So if you look at the actual numbers, it was 124 out of 127 eligible women that miscarried. Excuse me? And you're texting about this, but on TV, you're telling us that it's fine? Yeah, I think prison is the moderate solution here. It's 10:25. We'll bring you that Ron Johnson clip when we get back. We'll play it again in case you missed it, in case you're just tuning in. If you rewind on the YouTube stream, you can get all of the content that we've already done this morning. You can always go back and watch us again and again and again on YouTube. Hit like and subscribe while you're there. In the meantime, I got to tell you about my friends at the Wellness Institute of Nashville. You don't trust the medical industry. I don't trust the medical industry. They push too much stuff on us that has always been proven to be a failure, like opioids. And if you're dealing with pain, I mean, a lot of people have had opioids pushed on them. You're not going to find that at the Wellness Institute of Nashville. These guys are the absolute best. They're going to fix you and get you back to a pain-free life without pushing opioids, without pushing painful injections, and without pushing surgery. Right now, they have my seal of approval on a cutting-edge piece of new technology that has been designed by Dr. Mitchell himself. It's called Medical Bay One. You're sitting back like you're in an Artemis spaceship getting a full-body massage while red light, near infrared, and photon wavelengths light up your cells for healing the way God intended them to heal, and it will actually stimulate your stem cells for real tissue regeneration. This is epic healing at the Wellness Institute. On top of that, they have their non-surgical spinal decompression. Again, no surgery, no injections, no opioids. And you can get $33 off each visit right now for that non-surgical spinal decompression. All you got to do is click or call. It's painisbad.com or 615-246-5009. Painisbad.com or 615-246-5009. Get back to a pain-free life. Painisbad.com.
President Trump signed an executive order yesterday that lowers the recommended vaccine schedule for children from 18 to 7 and recommending that the measles, mumps, and rubella vaccine be split into 3 separate shots.
It's inconvenient. It's 5 stops, but it's something that I think will have a huge impact on autism.
It's a welcome development to the parents who say their children appear to develop autistic traits after receiving their vaccines. A White County father will spend more than 2 decades behind bars for abusing his infant child. Joseph Ferris pleading guilty to aggravated child abuse last week. In October of 24, doctors at Vanderbilt alerted the Department of Children's Services about the 1-month-old baby who had been brought in for injuries. They found the baby had fractures in his arms, collarbone, ribs, and shoulder blade. The father is sentenced to 22 years in prison. And ICE has placed a retainer on 47-year-old Felipe Alvarado Hernandez of Nashville. He's the man who was arrested for driving his pickup truck onto a downtown Nashville sidewalk in June, severely injuring 4 people. Hernandez agreed to leave the country back in 2004 after being charged in a retail fraud incident, but he never did. He was identified, by the way, by a license plate reader that picked up on his pickup truck. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Hey, what's up? It's Chris Hand here from my friends at the Glock store, and the Force on Force training is back by popular demand. Saturday, September 19th, 2 classes, 9:30 a.m. and 2 o'clock in the afternoon. You got to get signed up, and you got to get signed up fast. This is an unbelievable training session. You go in to a scenario that you could face in the real world. I've done it myself. When they sent me in, they said, all right, Chris, you just got home, and you realized that the door's been kicked in. That's all I knew. I didn't know how many intruders were in the house. I didn't know if they were armed. And you have to navigate that situation, and you have to know the laws. When is lethal force justified? Now, it's very simple to say, well, they're in your home, start blasting. And to be fair with you, that's exactly what I did when I got in there. But each class is going to start with a briefing on current Tennessee laws and the parameters, such as the safe word. You're going to need a safe word. And then you're going to go through an intense, realistic, live-action scenario to test your marksmanship, but not just that, also your split-second decision-making skills. 2 different scenarios per student, professional performance evaluation after each scenario, and the evaluations are based on new Tennessee firearm laws. There's only 15 slots available per session. Last time this happened, we told you that they were going to sell out quick. They did. These are going to sell out quick as well. So get yourself signed up for Saturday, September 19th, either the 9:30 session or the 2 o'clock session. You go to glockstore.com/FOF.
Hey, this is Pastor Al, and join us on Super Talk 99.7, Sunday evenings from 7 to 8. We're going to look at the news from a biblical perspective.
The guaranteed offer is the simplest, least stressful way to sell your home. go to our website, you fill out a quick form, we set an appointment, we bring you an all-cash offer. Literally, there's no lockbox on the front of your house, there's no showings, we pay all cash, we close in as little as 21 days, stress-free. We've helped thousands of homeowners just like you sell your home the hassle-free way with a guaranteed offer from Mark Spain Real Estate.
"36 minutes past the hour on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. The show is brought to you by Better Water LLC. Dominating the conversation today, Anthony Fauci's text messages revealed. And what they revealed is something that the internet had discussed for quite a while during the COVID pandemic, during the vaccine rollout. Will it be safe? Is it safe for pregnant women to get this vaccine? Now, if you had said I would recommend against it, that would have got you nuked off of social media back when this thing was rolling out. But if you were to say that today on social media, well, you'd really just be echoing what Senator Ron Johnson or Senator Rand Paul has revealed via Fauci's personal text messages. It was on a government phone. They got access to them, and they're going through the trove of messages. And what we're learning should infuriate every single American. I'm going to play this clip in its entirety. It's about 2.5 minutes, and we'll take some of your calls, and I'll tell you why there's a silver lining in all of this. It's going to make you mad. It's going to piss you off. Let's all understand that. But let's also appreciate exactly what happened, because this unraveling of the public institutions during the COVID pandemic paved the way for some fundamental changes that we're seeing take place. And some of those changes were instituted yesterday inside the Oval Office with Donald Trump and RFK Jr. We'll get to that in a moment. First, Ron Johnson on Fox News yesterday.
Carriage and the first trimester. What do you make of what we're learning here?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me on and thanks for covering this. So we obviously have his phone. We've downloaded it. And we're going to carefully go through this to protect people's personal information. But I thought we had to release this right away because this is, I think, major news. Anthony Fauci, in a text exchange with Vivek Murthy and Rochelle Walensky, the CDC director, they're talking about the COVID injection and having pregnant women take it. And in the middle of that text exchange, I think the key text is where Anthony Fauci is talking about the fact that the second dose creates a greater cytokine storm, additional information that could have an impact on increased miscarriages in the first trimester. Now, to add to that, in June of 2021, Tom Shimabukuro, a bunch of other people published a grossly misleading study in the New England Journal of Medicine where they were looking at 827 confirmed pregnancies. There were 104 miscarriages. They call them spontaneous abortions, but we refer to those as miscarriages. 104 divided by 827 would imply about a 12.6% miscarriage rate, which is quite high for confirmed pregnancies. I talked to Dr. James Thorpe, who says generally around 3%, so it's already 4 times as high, but within the realm of confirmed and unconfirmed pregnancies, okay? So they put this study out there, But what they don't reveal, they do, but they don't account for it, is that 700 of those 827 women took the injection in their third trimester. Now, spontaneous abortions occur before 20 weeks. Third trimester starts after 28, so the relevant denominator would have been 127. So you would have had 124 miscarriages out of 127 of the women who got the injection in the first or second trimesters. That's an 82%. 82% miscarriage rate.
When I tell you that jail is a moderate solution for Anthony Fauci, believe me when I tell you that. 124 out of 127. And he's texting about it. And he's on TV saying this is fine. This is recommended, actually. You should be getting this. But he knew the data. He 100% knew. He was texting about it. The sick bleep was texting about it. Prison's moderate. Prison is a moderate solution. Let's go to Steven on the road. What's up, Steve? How are you?
Good, sir. Good. Thanks for taking my call. Yeah, I just want to make 3 points on all this stuff. One, on the population control, conspiracy theories and all that's out there. I mean, I just can't go with population control because, you know, I think the most we've seen in our lifetime as far as population control goes is China with the one birth per family solution thing. I don't think there's a bunch of people planning on wiping out a big portion of people in this country or anywhere in the world for that matter. Two, it's not a coincidence that this happened right before the election. So that's just obvious to me. I did get sick with COVID. I never took anything. I'm a bigger guy, but I have a really good immune system. What I saw was most of the people that were dying from it were people that were quarantined and that were, immune compromised.
Yeah, immunodeficient.
Older people that were on a lot of meds and stuff. And 3, I think the biggest thing was Big Pharma making money off of it. I do think it did come from a lab in Wuhan.
Yep.
But the question is, was it let out early or was it planned? What we need to take from all of this is that it's really not over. Maybe that was a snippet of what is to come. So we need to really prepare. Every person, every family, everybody needs to remember what we went through, and we need to try to prepare to not be controlled if this comes about again and to not let it put everybody in a fear bubble. I would definitely not be quarantined with this sickness inside of a house or in any room. The best thing to do is to get as much fresh, clean air as you can. And I tell you, I just took cough syrup and cough drops, and after a few days, I was getting better already. So, but we do have to be careful.
Yep, you're absolutely right. I'm with you, Steve. I think that it's far more likely that at the end of the day, these guys were motivated by money as opposed to population control. I just go on the record. I wouldn't be shocked if it got proven that they were out for population control. But I think it's far, far more likely that they were motivated by money. I got a text here from 5022. Who was Fauci texting this to? Shouldn't they also be charged with him? Fun fact, he was texting Rochelle Walensky. This was Dr. Rochelle Walensky, who was with CDC at the time, the director of the CDC at the time, on pregnant women getting the vaccine.
Is it safe to get vaccinated while you're breastfeeding?
It absolutely is safe to get vaccinated. So I would say if you are thinking about getting vaccinated, there is no bad time to get vaccinated. Get vaccinated while you're thinking about having a baby, before you're thinking about having a baby, while you're pregnant with your baby, or after you've delivered your baby. There is no bad time.
That's not what she said on the text messages, right? That's not what the text thread said. The text thread said, actually, you are likely what was the exact word? Theoretically, that the second coronavirus jab theoretically could be associated with miscarriage. There's no bad time. Whether you're about to have a baby, you're thinking about having a baby, you have a baby in your belly, you got to get the vaccine. Get them all. Try them all. People are insane. I got another text here. Who was it? Man, I lost it. I was going to say his number. But this guy was saying that he lost, that all of this is terrible. He lost two businesses, 2 gyms. And I was thinking to myself, it's insane because the gym was labeled non-essential. McDonald's and the liquor store, totally cool. Totally good. Let's go to Brandon in Nashville. What's up, Brandon?
Hey, how's it going, man?
Good. What do you got?
I had my son in 2019 at the very start of 2019. He was about 2 years old in the middle of the pandemic. Well, they couldn't get him in for, regular shots or whatever. So they told us that he was coming in and he was going to get 5 shots in one day. He was going to get to catch him up with all the regular vaccines. He didn't get no COVID shots, nothing like that. Well, he was starting to talk at that time. He was saying cracker and mama. Well, he spiked a really high fever after those rounds of vaccines, and now he's level 3 autistic, and he hasn't said a word in probably, 5 years.
Oh.
And so we're going through. We have another daughter. I have my daughter now, and we go to regular checkup, and they go, oh well, she's delayed. She's delayed on her vaccines, and we're like, hold on, we want to wait. We want a delayed schedule. Well, the pediatrician tells us that they don't do that there, and they are a 100% compliance pediatrician. So if we don't get the vaccines, they won't see our children anymore, basically. And we can't say no to any vaccines, and they won't see us if we do. And so over the past year, I've been going through the shot records on my sons, and it shows where he was given 5 vaccines in one day. And I told the pediatrician that, and they say that's not their procedure. Well, I said, well, why was it done? And they never got back to me. And this has been over 6 months. So I don't know where to turn. I don't know if there's an attorney listening or can give me some ideas, but I feel like that's on them for giving them so many shots in one day.
Yeah, I definitely think that you have a reason to be upset, 100%. And I think that, so I have a friend who he's since passed away, Joe, but he had very similar story. And a lot of the stories sound just like yours. You go in for that wellness visit, which is really just your shot visit, right? And it's like the next day or leaving the office, the smile disappears. The words stop forming. And it's insane. It's absolutely insane. And to your point on that doctor's office saying if your daughter doesn't get her vaccines, we're 100% here. She's not going to be able to come. You do realize that some pediatricians and practices can receive performance-based incentives or bonuses with their vaccination and immunization rates as one of the metrics.
And when I mentioned something like that, the pediatrician shut up and would not say another word about it. They just said, oh, we'll give you a call back. And they told us, and then at first she said, no, we can't do a delayed at all. And then when I mentioned something about that, she was like, well, we can kind of delay it as much as we can. We can move them around. They're just trying to get their money. That's all that is.
I feel the same way, and they don't give a damn about these kids.
They don't.
And Brandon, I'm sorry about your son, man. That's heartbreaking, and I'll pray that you guys find the cure for that. I pray that there's a cure out there for that. But I'll definitely be praying for your son, man.
He is on. We did get approved for the leucovorin, so that we have started that. So we're hoping to see some improvement with that. It does show a little bit of improvement. We are getting some eye engagement, but he does make noises, but he doesn't say words. But he is approved for the leucovorin. We've started that. So
praise God.
Donald Trump and Senator Kennedy for that. That's been the best thing for us. But if there's any attorneys listening, hey, I'll give out my number. I don't care. I need to do something.
well, okay. Well, shoot me a text. Shoot me a text on this same number, okay? And if I get any attorneys texting in, I'll connect you guys.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate you sharing that story, Brandon. A lot of people have a very, very similar story. Now, it's anecdotal, and I think it's important to point that out. But at a certain point, what do do we just ignore these parents? And like during all of this, during COVID, it's like there was a lot of people that got deemed anti-vaxxers. And I always thought that was so funny to me because you realize that these parents were actually pro-vaccine until something happened, right? Like anti-vaxxer comes with such a negative connotation, but it's the reality is I have a child who I want to protect, so I'm going to get them vaccinated. Then something happened. And parents know. Parents just know. And then they get shut out by the medical community. They can't get any recourse because these vaccine makers have liability there. They can't be sued. So then you have to go through this long, arduous process to get any form of compensation. And even if you did get some form of compensation, it doesn't fix anything. Like no amount of money is ever going to change. Like the fact that you're ridden with guilt as a parent. Your child is not talking, not making eye contact. It's a heartbreaking scenario to go through. So then these parents, after dealing with all of that, their one form of recourse here is to try and make sure that no parent has to go through what they went through. And then they're deemed anti-vaxxers. And they're demonized for it. Screw that. That's awful. That's awful. I mentioned that there is a silver lining here. And the silver lining is that many, many, many Americans have been woken up to the realities of the medical industrial complex because of COVID. And things are changing. RFK walked across a stage. It was a turning point stage. And was it August of 24? I want to say it was August of 24. My dates might be off. August of 24. Shakes President Trump's hand, then candidate Trump. Drops out of the race and endorses him. And RFK said he did it for some reasons. And the reasons were to reform the medical industrial complex. Well, yesterday, there was a big, big win inside the Oval Office with RFK and President Trump. They have reduced the childhood vaccine schedule from 72 to 11. And that MMR shot, which a lot of parents point to as the shot that did it, well, now you got to break it up into 3 separate shots. This is a piece of news that it's either going to be missed by the mainstream media or it's going to be demonized by the mainstream media. There's no in between. And we're going to talk about it here and why it's so important when we get back. It's 10:53. This is Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, what's up? It's Chris Hand here from my friends at Zero Res Nashville. You need to get your carpets cleaned. I'm telling you this because I love you, and nobody else will tell you your carpets are nasty. I know. You've been ignoring it. You went nose blind to them. They're gross. They're just gross. But you don't want to call a guy that's going to use harsh chemicals or leave behind soap residue or leave your carpet soaked for hours on end. No. Don't do that. Call my friends at Zero Res. These guys are the Maha of carpet cleaners. They'll clean the carpets without the harsh chemicals. They won't leave behind soap residue, and they're using their exclusive ZR water system that actually gets everything out. When we clean our carpets that way, they look insanely clean, and not just that, they dry super fast, and they stay clean longer. And that matters. If you know anything about me, you know I got 4 kids and 2 dogs, and they're constantly not knowing if they want to stay inside or outside. And the carpets take the beating. If you're like me, you can call Zero Res. You can get them cleaned up so fast. 4,800 Google reviews, a 4.9 rating. It's not just my family that trusts them. 615-535-9376. 615-535-9376. Ask about their 2- and 3-room specials. Book online, ZeroResNashville.com.
Times are tough. Absolutely, I agree. Now, if you need a new truck or a minivan, maybe an SUV, Mid-10 Ford, they can help you out with great selection, terrific pricing as well. Mid-10 Ford, they've been around for 56 years, since 1969, helping people get the vehicle that is right for them. They can help you save $1,000 or more on select Ford trucks. They also offer special financing as well if you need it. Now, Mid-10 Ford, I like to say that they're a one-stop shop. You can buy your vehicle there at Mid-10 Ford. You can get it serviced. They have a body shop as well. So you want a brand new or a pre-owned vehicle, you can check out all of the great deals at their website, mid10fordtrucks.com. That's mid10fordtrucks.com. They offer low-pressure sales, maximum customer service if you show up at their business, 1319 Foster Avenue. This is a family-owned business going back 4 generations. So, yeah, they do know how to treat customers. So let them help you get into your next vehicle. Again, low-pressure sales, maximum customer service. Find them online, mid10fordtrucks.com. That's mid10fordtrucks.com. Let their family take care of your family.
人たちは狂っている。卵の価格は下がっている。ダウ平均は5万ポイントを超えている。こんな負け犬どもの言うことを聞くな。アメリカは復活した。
アメリカでは最大規模の失業者の集まりがノーキングエブイベントを開催されています。
The time for silence is over. We will not be ignored. Let me thank all the organizations that have made this great event possible.
重要的是，我们必须共同拥有一个统。
There are discussions at the state level to protect people and businesses in Tennessee from local government setting property taxes based on unrealized gains. We'll tell you about that coming up at 11 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
That's Ken Weaver in the newsroom. My name is Chris Hand. The show is brought to you by Better Water LLC. I keep promising the silver lining, right? We've been talking about Fauci all morning. Which is, I mean, it's really an easy topic for conversation because everybody's irate, everybody's pissed off. Everything that we said would happen has happened. except for the fact that he hasn't been put in handcuffs yet. Hopefully, Lord willing, that happens soon. We were talking off the air, and it's like you see this guy walking around outside, and I'm like, I honestly, like, and I know this might be unpopular, I pray nothing happens to the guy. I really do. I want to see him get his in the correct way via the legal system. I want to see him put in prison because the other side does that kind of stuff. We should, and I see the conversation online. I've seen the text messages. We shouldn't encourage a Luigi type situation at all. He should be in jail for the rest of his life. But we, as conservatives, we have to really push back against that kind of stuff. There is a silver lining. What Fauci did created such a distrust in this medical industrial complex that we are beginning to see real change, and that real change started yesterday inside the Oval Office as President Trump, who is flanked by Bobby Kennedy, signed a major executive order to reduce the amount of childhood vaccinations for babies down from 72 to 11 over a short time, and effective immediately. The U.S. is no longer recommending hepatitis B, COVID-19, or influenza vaccines for young kids. We're going to talk about this in detail when we get back. It's 11:01. This is Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Drivers, we've got a couple of things in the way. 65 southbound before Dickerson Pike. You've got a crash there in Madison that is blocking the right lane. Full forecast coming up in 5 minutes. Tell you about this heat advisory now for Middle Tennessee. Also in Tennessee, discussions at the state level to protect people and businesses from local government setting property taxes based on unrealized gains, especially in Nashville. Speaker of the House Cameron Sexton telling WTN's Matt Murphy he's had a conversation with Governor Lee about a special session for expedited relief, and country music superstar John Rich is involved. He says you wouldn't believe the number of Democrats who have reached out to him.
That's actually very encouraging, and it also should be the absolute fact to show everybody listening right now, this is no joke. This is a 911 on Broadway.
The Nashville Property Tax Coalition says more than 300 businesses have joined its effort opposing the tax increases and estimates that more than 100 local businesses could fail within 2 years if nothing changes. Metro Council members want Nashville Electric Service to show proof that its more aggressive tree trimming program is reducing power outages. The policy increased required clearance around power lines from 10 feet to 15 feet after this year's ice storm left 230,000 people without electricity. Channel 4's Braden Ross says some residents, though, are complaining about how much of their trees are being removed.
At a Transportation and Infrastructure Committee meeting Monday night, NES said they are collecting data on how it impacts outages. They also argued the 15-foot clearance could keep line workers safer when they're working on repairs, especially during a storm.
When you've got a wet tree limb behind you moving around, that's a grounded surface. Our guys are insulated on an insulated bucket, working on an energized conductor. If I've got a grounded surface that comes in contact with me, I've got a fatality.
The Transportation and Infrastructure Committee plans to meet with NES again in March for an update.
A Nashville mother has been arrested accused of sneaking Percocet and ecstasy pills to her 17-year-old son, who's incarcerated at the Juvenile Detention Center. Here's News 2's Megan Fee.
Metro Police say this happened Saturday at the Juvenile Detention Center on Woodland Street in Nashville. The warrant shows the mother passed the drugs to her son as they played with a child during the visit. Pills were found in the teen's sock during a search. That mother, 44-year-old Benita Fitzgerald, now faces a felony charge.
Fitzgerald's bond was set at $4,000, and a Maine lifeguard is speaking out after he says, a great white shark dragged him 6 feet underwater. ABC's Hannah Battah reports.
Greg Wilford, who works at Scarborough Beach, was on shark patrol when he says something grabbed the rescue buoy that was strapped to his body and pulled.
I knew I was in trouble, so I slipped out of the harness, and then I popped up to the surface and started swimming as fast as I could back to the beach.
Moments after he broke free, a witness saw the buoy fly 6 to 8 feet out of the water. Wilford wasn't hurt, and he quickly ran out and closed the beach.
That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
I'm delighted to be here in the Oval Office as our administration takes another historic step in our mission to make America healthy again. Today, we're proud to officially announce the United States of America's gold standard childhood vaccination recommendations, and that has to do with many subjects, but including autism in particular. I want to thank the man who has done more than perhaps anyone else to bring about this real revolution, Secretary of Health and Human Services, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., my friend, and he's doing a fantastic job. I'm proud of you. Give me one a very powerful hand to use.
That was President Trump yesterday inside the Oval Office, flanked by Bobby Kennedy. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. When Bobby Kennedy walked across the stage in 2024 and shook President Trump's hand, dropped out of the presidential race, and fully endorsed President Trump, it was a turning point in the election. And a lot of independents, a lot of moderates, a lot of Democrats felt at that moment in time it was going to be okay to vote for President Trump because they saw what happened during COVID. They had been paying attention to the medical industrial complex, and they saw a window of opportunity to get some things done. And one of those things was taking the vaccine makers and bringing them out back to the woodshed. Since 1986, these vaccine makers have had no liability on their products. They couldn't be held responsible if something bad happened to them. You're not even allowed to talk about it. And when that happened in 86, well, the childhood vaccine schedule exploded. It was a cash grab. And we're the only developed country in the Western world doing business this way. It's insane. Civilized nations in Europe have far lower rates of autism. Denmark is in the ones, and they have far less rates of vaccination. Now, correlation doesn't always equal causation, but it's something to pay attention to. And this administration is paying attention to it. Whether you believe that vaccines cause autism or not, there are some really solid arguments about why the vaccine schedule shouldn't be 72, or why the MMR vaccine should be split up into separate vaccines, or why it is that a baby even needs a hepatitis B shot if they're not engaging in unprotected sex or shooting up heroin. I mean, these are serious questions before we even get to the autism topic. And yesterday, President Trump signed a major executive order drastically reducing the amount of childhood vaccines.
Strong guy, by the way. Thanks as well to Director of the NIH, Jay Bhattacharya, Deputy Assistant to the President of Domestic Policy, Dr. Heidi Overton, our Maha moms, and including Jamie Franklin, who's with us today, a very special person, and also the medical experts and professionals who've worked very hard on getting this to happen, this day to come. For long and far too long, a long period of time, America's recommended more childhood vaccines than any peer nation, and even twice as many doses as some European countries, and even more than that. In many cases, we were requiring 72 jabs for our beautiful, healthy, lovely, delicate little children, including giving the hepatitis B shot to infants and newborns on top of many other vaccinations. The hepatitis B shouldn't be given until they are 14 or 15 years old. They were given early. Effective immediately, my administration is recognizing gold standard childhood vaccine recommendations for only 11 core vaccinations against the most serious and dangerous diseases, along with the MMR, which hopefully will be split up. You have the MMR. We want it in 3 separate vaccinations, given at separate times. Together, there could be a possibility they're quite lethal, and separately, it looks like they are not at all lethal, but just very effective. So the MMR, we want to have separate visits, separate times.
And I still think parents should be able to make their own risk-reward analysis. But it's just, I think it's pretty clear. I'm a bit vaccine hesitant. I think that's the nice way to put it. Anti-vaxxer, if you want to call me names. But every parent should have the right to choose. I don't think anybody wants to take away the right to choose. But you need to do your own risk-reward analysis. And the way that they've been pushing these shots has felt like a cash grab for a long time. It just has. Especially the Hep B. I mean, the Hep B, what are we doing? That was an easy deny for me and my family. Because our babies don't engage in unprotected sex or shoot up heroin. Maybe that's right for your baby. Maybe. I don't know. But it was never okay for us. So effective immediately, the United States is no longer recommending the Hep B. President Trump also went down the line saying that COVID-19 and influenza, among others, are no longer recommended for children in the United States. I hope you understand the gravity of this announcement coming from inside the Oval Office. What used to be delegated to online message boards and the underbelly of the internet, what used to be something that could get you kicked off of social media, deplatformed, shadow banned, you name it, is now being spoken inside the Oval Office, 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. This is massive. This is why the Maha moms came over and voted for Trump. This is why that crunchy granola mom in the Pacific Northwest that doesn't shave her armpits decided to vote for President Trump. This is what we've wanted for a very long time. And yesterday inside the White House, we got it.
Separate visits for vaccines rather than giving them all in the same day. Very importantly, vaccinations for hepatitis B, COVID-19, and influenza, among others, are no longer recommended for all children. In addition, this executive order directs the Attorney General to advance legal challenges against states that violate children's rights to religious or medical vaccination exemptions for the exemptions.
We have strong religious exemptions here in the state of Tennessee. And if you ever need to discuss religious exemptions, it's quite easy. You need to research two ingredients that are pretty much in every vaccine. It's MRC5 and WI38. Now, these ingredients are from the aborted fetal tissue of a boy, which I believe was the MRC5, and a girl, the WI38. I might have them backwards, but just follow me. Those are the aborted fetal cells that they used to create a lot of these vaccines that were, the babies were aborted in the 70s, and they've just been cloned over and over and over again, which is just crazy from the jump. But the religious exemption there, if you are against abortion, is 100% there for pretty much all of these vaccinations. And we have very strong religious exemptions here in Tennessee. There might be schools that say you need to have your vaccinations. There might be sports leagues that say your kids need to have their vaccinations. Well, I would just say the religious exemptions are very strong and very doable in the state of Tennessee. Now, there's going to be people that are going to hem and haw and say President Trump is putting our kids at risk. Okay, he didn't eliminate your right to get them, just so you know. They're just no longer recommended. It's different. You can jab your kid up as many times as you want. I wouldn't recommend it, but you can still do that in the United States of America. What they're doing is they're changing the country's recommendation. And before people lose their minds, this is how civilized nations across the world do it. Many European nations. Denmark gets cited often, but I would even point to, Japan. In Japan, they're not vaccinating their kids until they're older than 2. So the way we do things is very counterintuitive to the way the rest of the world does things. And President Trump made that point yesterday, held up a chart showing the Europe vaccination schedule, which is 11 vaccines, compared to the American vaccination schedule, which is 72.
These are high-level, very medically powerful European countries. You see the top, that little chart says a lot.
And if you're not watching on Super Talk TV, I'll explain it to you. The image that President Trump is holding up, there's a baby on top, and there's 11 needles around him, okay? And there's a baby underneath, and there's 72 needles around him. I mean, it's a powerful image, and it really does display how insane the vaccination schedule has gotten here in the United States of America.
It says a lot, but that's the difference. So with that, I'd like to have Bobby say a few words, please. And
then we'll get to Bobby Kennedy. Bobby Kennedy calls out the fake news to their faces. Bobby Kennedy has been passionate about this for many, many years. He was passionate about this before it was cool to be passionate about this. And he went completely off. He called out the media for defending Big Pharma, for parroting their lies, and he blamed them, essentially blamed them for the rise of autism in our children here in America.
Incident rate of 0.8 per 10,000, so less than 1 in 10,000. The rate, according to CDC today in this country, is 1 in every 31 children. In California, it's 1 in every 19 children, 1 in every 12.5 boys. So there has been a dramatic increase. One of the things that the industry likes to say, one of the talking points, which the press loves to parrot, is, oh, we're just noticing it more. But this is an absurdity, and this is an assertion that has been debunked again and again and again by peer-reviewed literature. But it's also debunked by common sense. Because if we were just noticing it more, we would notice it in older groups.
Yep.
But we're not. We're only noticing it in kids who were born around 1989 or after. The older generations, you're not seeing those increases. So something happened in the mid-90s that changed our children, and it has to be an environmental exposure. Because genes don't cause epidemics. They can provide a vulnerability, but you need an environmental toxin. And what the president has charged us with is finding which one of those exposures or which collection of exposures are causing this epidemic. For decades, I fought for a simple principle.
Bobby Kennedy's an American hero. I just think that he needs to be acknowledged as such. Again, he has lost family fighting for this cause. He has lost friends fighting for this cause. He has been demonized fighting for this cause. Yet, he persisted. And now he's inside the Oval Office. He's inside the Trump administration. He's getting things done. This is a massive deal. It really is. And I'm not trying to oversell it, but I can't let this be undersold. Stephen Miller, also inside the Oval Office yesterday. He's got young kids, and he understands how big of a moment this is.
Because of your courage and leadership, Mr. President, millions of parents all over America today are breathing an enormous sigh of relief.
Amen.
I say this as the parent of young children myself. Millions and millions of parents feel they've been pressured when their children are just weeks out of the hospital to take 5 shots, 6 shots, 7 shots all at once. They're told it'll be normal. Your kid will have a fever of 103 for 3 or 4 days. Your kid will stop eating for a week. Your kid's going to change all their sleeping. Don't worry, it's totally fine. It's totally normal. Nobody has studied it. Nobody's looked at it. Nobody's thought about it. The pressure from the pharmaceutical industry and from aspects of the medical industry to pump your kids full of shots days after birth with no understanding of the long-term consequences has been a medical travesty. This is an issue, Mr. President, that you have been leading on for years, and of course the man to your left has been leading on this issue for years as well, too.
He's absolutely right. We'll bring you more comments from Stephen Miller on the other side here. But the moment inside the Oval Office yesterday felt a lot like vindication for a lot of parents around the country. And they should feel vindicated. The parents who had been silenced, demonized, shut down, called crazy, called lunatics, well, they just stayed patient enough and they just won. It's a big deal. It's 11:22. This is Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Drivers, we got stuff in the way. A crash in Madison blocking the right lane. 65 southbound past Briley Parkway, Ellington Parkway. Then in Brentwood, an injury crash. Old Hickory Boulevard right there at 7 Springs Way. State lawmakers hearing your pain from the 45% property tax increase in Nashville. We'll tell you what they're discussing at the state level coming up at 11:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Does it have to do with tar and feathers?
You got to wait, Brother Chris. I can't give away the tease.
All right, don't give it away. Don't give it away. Headlines on the way with Ken Weaver in less than 4 minutes. My name is Chris Hand. This is Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I think yesterday was one of the biggest moments in American history, and I don't think I'm understating that. Maybe you think I'm bloviating. I don't think so. What happened yesterday inside the Oval Office was massive, and this is one of those things that we definitely 100% voted for. Stephen Miller going off.
Bundling of the shot. Why do you need to have these shots bundled into these packages? Why can't you split it into 5 visits and give this young body, if a parent wants to do a vaccine, 1 shot at a time? Why is it that in Japan you can get a separate measles shot, a separate mumps shot, a separate rubella shot, but in America it has to all be packaged together? This is a courageous action, Mr. President. This is an action that ensures the dignity of patients, the dignity of parents. It restores choice. It says we're going to let the parent and the doctor make a sound medical decision.
Oh, it's radical. We're going to let the parent make a decision? Do you understand how bad
Bundling
that could
of
be?
the shot.
It's crazy. Oh, we got to have the MMR together. These parents don't know what they're doing. It's crazy. Stephen Miller continued, and he what does it say here? It says he goes off on the vaccine tyrants.
Left has been leading on this issue for years as well, too. It's a really incredible moment to stand here today and finally see the concerns of parents around this country addressed. There's been so much heartache where parents have had healthy children with no issues. They know they've been pressured into doing things that they didn't want to do, and medical science has told them for years that their concerns are not valid.
Yep.
This order does 2 fundamental, incredibly important things. First is we get off of this ridiculous path of having our children get 70 to 90 shots.
Yep.
That is wantonly excessive. Remember, each and every one of these shots produces a profound immunological response. So across any large population, if you give a kid shot after shot after shot, you're going to have vaccine injuries. You're going to have immunological issues. You're going to have potentially neurological issues. Secondly, and so important to you, Mr. President, is the unbundling of the shot. Why do you need...
The unbundling of the shot makes a lot of sense. And a lot of people have pointed to that MMR jab as the one that changed everything for their child. The stories are anecdotal, and it's important to acknowledge that. But I have heard from my own friends, I've heard from listeners, and the one thing that always stands out to me, that the stories are always the same. We were great going in, and on the way out, the next day, eye contact stopped. And I never saw a smile again. Heartbreaking. The media, they're already roasting him on CNN for doing this. Oh, common sense. Will someone think of common sense? But they didn't even wait till today. They were going at him inside the Oval Office yesterday. One reporter said, "Would you vaccinate your kids differently?"
You're a proud father. Would you have vaccinated your children differently based on the recommendations?
Well, I did. I took my children for 5 different vaccinations. In other words, I broke it up. The one visit where they just pump, what seemingly looks like gallons, where they pump so much in. I took all of my children from day one. I believed in this a long time ago. I took them with my wife. I took them through 5 different visits to the doctor. Essentially, they get 20% each, and I had no problem. So,
would you do anything different, Mr. President? Already did, actually. Been hip to the game for a while. Been paying attention. Parents should be doing their own research, and that's on you. Nobody's going to do your research for you. That's not just on the vaccine topic. That's on any topic. And you shouldn't trust just anybody. You shouldn't even trust me. If I say something and you're not sure if it's true, you're not sure if you agree, research it by all means. Doing your own research is easier than ever. So you should absolutely get in the habit of doing that, especially when it comes to your kids. It's 11:31. This is Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast coming up in 5 minutes. Right now in Nashville, state lawmakers say they're hearing your pain from the big 45% median property tax increase in Nashville. Speaker of the Tennessee House, Cameron Sexton, telling WTN's Matt Murphy discussions are underway on a number of potential relief measures, including protecting Tennesseans from paying property taxes based on unrealized gains.
They would not be affected. Their property value would not go up because of someone else's ability to pay more than what they should for market price. And so that would be the way to do that. Also would be very beneficial for residential people.
Speaker Sexton says he has spoken to Governor Lee about calling a special legislative session to deal with it. Nashville Electric Service being asked to back up its tree trimming strategy with hard numbers. Metro Council wants evidence that expanding power line clearance from 10 to 15 feet is actually helping prevent outages following that devastating ice storm earlier this year. Some residents say 15 feet is too much. Channel 4's Braden Ross says NES says it's collecting data now and plans to provide an update to council members on March.
One thing that has changed, though, NES now has a tree trimming hotline that you can call with any questions, concerns, or complaints. NES did say that they do want to hear if their crews in the field aren't meeting their standards.
Yeah, that NES tree trimming hotline is 615-695-7400. Money news, Americans are saddled with credit card debt, many of them behind on payments and are refinancing mortgages to help. Here's Sherry Preston.
We owe more and we're not paying our bills on time. The Federal Reserve Bank of New York says Americans now owe $1.26 trillion on credit cards, and 12% of us are delinquent in paying even the minimum amount. The high cost of gas, groceries, and household items all contributing. One thing helping those lucky enough to own a home: equity. More people are tapping into that, figuring a refinanced mortgage at a little over 6.5% makes more sense than a credit card balance of 23%. Sherry Preston, ABC News.
That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hey, what's up? It's Chris Hand here for my friend Aaron Parker over at Parker Safes and Vaults. These guys are the absolute best when it comes to protecting your valuables, whether it's firearms or family heirlooms, maybe a guitar collection, precious metals, whatever you got that you need protecting. Aaron and his sons can help you out. These guys are total pros. A lot of people worry about what might happen in a fire or in a burglary, but you don't have to worry about that if you get a great safe from Parker Safes and Vaults. And they've been helping people protect what they treasure for close to 20 years. You make that call, and the experts at Parker's will help you choose the right safe for your needs and your budget. They'll professionally deliver it and install it themselves. Veteran-owned, family-run, Christian business, and they're helping people just like you with their security and protection needs since they started back in 2009. Serious products designed for serious protection. No filing cabinets available, just real safes from real brands. Graf Under, Holland, Rhino, Liberty, and more. Hundreds of 5-star reviews. These are the people in Middle Tennessee to call if you need a safe. I have a safe. I have a firearm sitting in it safely at home. I have more firearms that aren't sitting at home, but I have one in the safe sitting safely at home. If you got firearms in the house, you should have a safe. Call my friends at Parker's today. 931-842-6445. 931-842-6445. ParkerSafes.com.
Are you willing to end this conflict with Iran charging tolls for passage through the strait?
Us charging tolls?
Iran.
What about us charging tolls?
Is that something you're considering?
I'd rather do that than let them have them, right? Why shouldn't we? We're the winner. We won, okay? They are militarily defeated. The only thing they have is the psychology of, oh, we're going to drop a couple of mines in the water, all right? No, we have a concept where we'll charge tolls, okay? I thought you meant us.
It's 11:38 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Show's brought to you by Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. We got the lightning round on deck. Real quick, though, I got Jeff and Phil who've been holding on the line for a little bit. I want to get to these calls. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo, catch a tiger by the toe. Phil, what's up, man? How are you?
Hey, what's going on?
What do you got?
Hey, look, I'm vaccine-free, and I'm proud of it. But look, back in those years, I was still in insurance, Medicare, and I got to thinking more than likely it was, population control, which you could tie that degree to, because you think the average Medicare they were paying out to senior citizens, and the average senior citizen life is probably 10 years, 65 to 75, but all the money the government would save not paying those senior citizens their Medicare, and that was one of the parts of society that was most affected, the overweight and the obese and the senior citizens.
Yeah, I mean, I get where people are coming from in it, but I do think that there's a logic leap there. You might be right. I'm not saying you're wrong. I just think it's far, far more likely that they were motivated by money.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's just me. All right, Phil, appreciate the call. Let's go to Jeff in Gallatin. What's up, Jeff?
Hey, enjoying the show. I had dinner with my mom last night, and unfortunately, he watches ABC Evening News with a guy I affectionately call David Manure, who stated that President Trump lowered the number of vaccines kids can get at one time without any evidence linking it to possible autism. And last night I was listening to Mark Levin. Of course, you guys got the ABC News at the top of the hours, and exact same wording.
Yep.
Without evidence. Got to throw that in there.
Oh yeah.
And if I can add one more thing, I hope there's a special place in hell for Fauci. But there's a guy I hope is sitting right next to him. I had an aunt that was unfortunately in a nursing home in Buffalo, New York, and because of the disgraced Governor Cuomo forcing COVID patients back into nursing homes, she ended up passing away.
Awful.
And not only did he do that, but then he tried to fudge the numbers after the fact, so it didn't look like he killed as many people as he did. So anyway, I hope there's a special place in hell right next to Fauci.
Yeah, I'm with you, Jeff, and I'm sorry to hear about your loss. You're not alone. A lot of people have dealt with that. I've told the story on the air. My grandmother, she had a little bit of a companion, I guess you'd call it, after my grandfather died. We love the guy, Grandpa Frank. They never got married, but we respectfully called him Grandpa Frank. Grandpa Frank had to die alone in a nursing home. So there's that. My brother-in-law, Steve, who was my best friend growing up, they couldn't bury his grandmother during COVID. Like, there's real anger still because of the policies that were put in place. And then you learn this new stuff, and it's just crazy. I'll play one more clip. This is from Fox News this morning. Again, nobody else is really touching these text messages. We've had CNN on in here, and for some reason, Like, I mean, I get it's a big story, the earthquake in Colombia, prayers going out to them. But don't you think story A would be the Fauci text messages? I haven't seen them cover it at all. I saw them try to discredit President Trump from signing that executive order this morning. As expected, there's no evidence, even though it's working great in European countries and they have better rates of autism than we do. They have less sick kids than we do, but there's no evidence. There's nothing like that. Don't worry about it. But this came across my feed. Bill Ackman, who you may or may not be familiar with. He's the CEO of Pershing Square. He's a big tech guy. He posted on X that him and his wife had 7 miscarriages trying to have a second child during COVID. And then he said the time ran out. And he said, WTF was he thinking? And he linked the New York Post article about how Fauci privately warned of the miscarriage risk linked to the COVID vaccine. And they were just talking about this on Fox. This is the only channel I've seen covering the text messages. And as much as I think Fox News sucks from time to time, they do deserve a bit of respect for actually covering the biggest news story in America today.
And outrage over Dr. Fauci's newly released text messages revealing his private concerns about the COVID vaccine and the risk of miscarriages back in 2021, just 1 month before he declared a very different story.
So hedge fund billionaire Bill Ackman devastated, reacting, quote, Neary and I had 7 miscarriages trying to have a second child during COVID, and then time ran out. What was he thinking?
Oh, my God.
Oh, my God. I mean, honestly, like that's the reality there. I don't know if you ever dealt with a miscarriage. That sucks. Like it truly is awful. We had to deal with it not once but twice, and you know you recover and like you chalk it up to God's timing, and it's like it's one of those things, right? Like it sucks. It's heartbreaking, and you mourn a baby that you never got to meet. But you kind of like, okay, well, it wasn't in our hands. It was God's. Imagine the outrage you would feel today if you dealt with a miscarriage and you found out that it wasn't in God's hands. It was in Fauci's. Oh my God, I would be, I mean, I'm pissed off as it is. I would be seeing red. My heart breaks for the families that dealt with that. Bill Ackman, 7 times. I had a friend who they had just a lot of trouble with that. And I remember each time being like, golly, like she keeps going back and trying again. And we were praying for her. And it was like, but each time was like just a little bit more heartbreaking than the time before it. And they got up to, I think it was 8 miscarriages. I was like, oh my God, how do you do that? How on earth do you keep, like, I don't know if I can put myself through that or put my wife through that over and over again. But God bless them. They have 2 unbelievable, healthy kids now. But if you went through 7 miscarriages and you found out that Fauci knew that this could happen and he lied about it, Rochelle Walensky knew that this could happen, and then they hit TV and they recommended this for pregnant women, just vile. Just absolute vile, evil people. All right, it's 11:46. Let's jump into the lightning round.
It's the lightning round with Chris Hand.
I was gonna try and change the mood, but I don't really have a story to change the mood. I just have more stories that'll make you angry. Is that fair?
It's an angry Tuesday.
It's an angry. People are angry. People don't think it'd be like it is, but it do. Massachusetts Governor Maura Healey, from this point forward on the Chris Hand Show, will be referred to as Moloch Healey. Are you familiar with Moloch?
I'm not, no.
Oh, man, you got to get in your Bible. Got to get in the Bible. Moloch was the demon deity known for child sacrifice. That was Moloch. The biblical texts, they clearly link Moloch with the ritual killing of children by fire. So I think you can get where I'm going with this story. Moloch Healy, she just signed into law in Massachusetts the right to get an abortion up to birth. And it's like, yo, like the contrast in these stories. When we spent a big portion of the show today talking about just the absolute heartbreak of people trying to have a child and not being able to. And then you think about the opposite side of it, where people could have a child, but they don't want it. And then the child is past the point of viability outside the womb and they terminate it. What? Well, Democratic Massachusetts Governor Moloch Healy, she signed a bill on Monday that legalizes abortions in the state of Massachusetts throughout the duration of pregnancy. What? The bill is called an Act Prioritizing Patient Access to Care, H5595. And it ultimately allows unborn babies to be aborted throughout pregnancy and strikes down the state's current 24-week limit, reports Breitbart, which had exceptions for the life of the mother and a deadly fetal diagnosis. Under the bill, doctors now have the discretion to decide whether or not to perform a late-term abortion. And this sick, vile woman got on her platform, and she absolutely celebrated this. She's smiling. She's surrounded by all of these other psychotic women smiling. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, how gross is this? You have people in this country who were duped into taking a medical experimental gene therapy. They were told it was great, it was good, there's no wrong time to get it, and they're losing their opportunity to have a baby. And then on the other side of the country, over there in Massachusetts, you have Moloch Healy celebrating the right to terminate a pregnancy throughout birth.
Prioritizing Patient Access to Care Act into law. Under the previous law, abortions after 24 weeks were only allowed under certain circumstances, including serious risks to the patient or certain fetal diagnosis. The new law removes those restrictions, allowing physicians to use their professional judgment when determining whether care can be provided.
Until now, those conversations have at times been on a clock, one that was arbitrary and not grounded in science.
I know it's an arbitrary clock, not grounded in science, but the baby's past the point of viability. There's no science there. I thought these were the science people. We're learning more and more that the science people just lie about the science to do what they want to do, like sacrifice children. These people are sick.
Now families can have the time and privacy that they deserve to make the decisions about their own bodies and their own pregnancies that everyone should fundamentally.
No, I don't like this at all. This is barbaric. This is child sacrifice. This is evil. Massachusetts now joins Alaska, Vermont, Oregon, New Mexico, Colorado, Minnesota, Maryland, New Jersey, and Washington, D.C., in allowing unborn babies to be aborted throughout the entire pregnancy. You can measure a society based upon how they treat the most vulnerable. And I can't for the life of me think of a more vulnerable life than a baby inside the womb of a mother. And they're not treating those babies very good at all. The bill passed the Democrat-dominated state House and Senate last month. And Republican State Rep Allison Sullivan Almeida said it is a very sad day in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. The precedent that we're setting is that a mother can get an abortion up until the moment of birth for a healthy, viable baby. The SBA Pro-Life America president, Marjorie Danfelser, mourned the news of the governor's signature of the bill, saying it should shock the conscience that tens of thousands of unborn Americans are barbarically dismembered limb by limb and torn apart every single year. Sadly, that number will only increase with Governor Healey's approval of the abortion up until birth bill. The GOP must abandon the leave it to states position, a stance that permits egregious late-term abortion laws like this one, and advance national protections for unborn children. Without a minimum national standard, the United States remains one of only 8 countries worldwide that allows abortion at any point in pregnancy. We must do all we can to turn the page on America's ugly chapter of late-term abortion. We have to turn this back. Like, we have to keep fighting against this. It is our duty. It is the moral good to fight against this. And, you know, when Monty was running for governor, he's an abolitionist. People are like, "Whoa, that's hardcore. That's too far for me, bro." And it's like, okay, well, look at the other side of the coin. Look at these psychotic lunatics and what they're championing in Massachusetts, Alaska, Vermont, Oregon, New Mexico, Colorado, Minnesota, Michigan, Maryland, New Jersey, and Washington, D.C. We don't even hear a peep. This is going to be swept under the rug, and nobody's ever going to talk about this story again. And babies are just going to be murdered. And it's fine. It's fine. There is absolutely, and I don't know how else you describe it other than the word genocide. There's been a genocide taking place in this country for the past few decades. And it happened to my generation. It happened to Gen Z's generation. And you have all of these kids that could have had a great life that were just snuffed out, for lack of a better word, for convenience. It's disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. What we're seeing in Massachusetts is what they want throughout the whole country. And if these Democrats ever get back in power, they're not going to sit on their hands. They're going to be the ones that push national laws that allow abortion up until the moment of birth. And we need to fight against that. We absolutely do. We need to do it now while we have a chance, while we have House Republicans and Senate Republicans. We have the majority in both. We need to do it now while we have the presidency. Like the time is now to strike while the iron's hot. These people are sick. There's no way around it. One of the texters reminded me we had a caller a little while ago. Daphne reminded me, we had a caller who had whose wife delivered a child at 26 weeks. 26 weeks. These monsters in Massachusetts just allowed the abortion through 42. Do the math. We need time, they say. We need time to make these decisions. No, the babies need protection. That's what they need. So there's that. It's 11:55. This is Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis from Super Talk 99.7 WTN and Nashville's Morning News. I'm here with Chris from USS, United Structural Systems. He's checking out my basement, my foundation, my crawl space to see if there's anything wrong. Fingers crossed. All right, so there's good news and there's bad news. The bad news is we found some cracks in my basement wall. The good news, I've got Chris here who's going to walk me through the next steps.
Yes, so unfortunately, your house has been subject to the pressure of the dirt. The hydrostatic pressure, heavy dirt pushes on foundation walls, and you got a little bit of what we call bowing. So that wall is pushed in a little bit. but we have a lifetime warranty solution for that. So we install, usually in a day or two, this can be done in most situations. We install carbon fiber straps, which keep the wall from moving inward at any point in the future. It's a lifetime warranty for anybody that ever owns this house. So it's a quick and routine thing that we do, but it yields some long-lasting benefits.
It's a great selling point if you want to sell your house.
Absolutely. Good thing about our warranties is they're not only transferable, like the contract says, they're automatically transferred when you sell your house. So you don't have to sign any paperwork or even send us an email saying that you sold your house. Warranty would transfer to the next owner.